So the second one is a key predictor number is home inventory. So home inventory, you do get national statistics on this, but national statistics does not matter. Inventory is always a local real estate market thing. So what I'm going to show you right now is a spreadsheet that I put together that I work with my clients, and we track MLS data on a 12, 6, and 3-month basis to determine how many months of inventory do we have in the market. And then we look at how does that affect our ability to make sales and also to make profitable sales. So if you look at this down here, I have just some instructions on this. What we're going to do is we're going to determine the rate of sales and the level of inventory for your price point and product. So typically what you do is you might search homes. If you're a home builder, you might search homes that are 5 years old or newer. Depending on the amount of homes in the market in your area, you might only go back 2 years or newer, or sometimes just something that's labeled new construction. You just have to make that determination once you look at the data. I typically suggest searching as $25,000 to $50,000 price spread. However, if you're in a much higher price point, like say you're $1 million plus, you might search by $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 price spread. So the lower your price point, the tighter the price spread. What we're going to do first to determine our rate of sales is we're going to look at the number of homes that have sold or have gone pending sale, or sales are pending in the last 12 months. And then we'll run the same scenario for 6 and 3 months. So this is what it looks like. I go into my MLS. I search for the type of homes I'm building, single family, association maintained. I look at the area that I'm building in. I look at the price range or the breadth of offering that I'm building in. And then I look at homes that were built either 5 years old or newer. And I'm going to see how many of those have either sold in the last 12 months or have gone pending in the last 12 months. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this in here. And I'm going to say, okay, let's say, for example, I found that there were 9 sales and 3 pendings. So 9 plus 3 is 12. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 12 in there. And you can see what's happening here is that I say, okay, in the last 12 months, if 12 homes are sold, I divide 12 homes. I divide that by the number of months, 12, and I get 1 sold per month. So if you look at this solds and pendings, last 12 months, this shows us there's been 12. Now I go back and I do this for 6 months. And so I say, okay, what's happened since roughly in 2022, since roughly February 1st of this year. So let's say in the last 6 months, there were 5. Put that in here. See, that's a rate of sales of 0.83. And let's say in the last 3 months, let's just say there was 1. So that gives me an average rate of sales of 0.72. Now, the next thing I do is I go in and say, okay, how many homes are actively for sale in this price category? So I do my research. Let's say, as an example, there are 5 homes actively for sale. So I put in 5 in there. So what this tells me is that based on the current rate of sales of 0.72 per month, that with 5 homes on the market, it will take 6.92 months to sell those. So let's look at some notes here. A balanced market, what's not considered the advantage of the buyer or the builder seller, is typically 5.5 to 6.5 months of inventory. It's considered a balanced market. That's where a new home can typically be priced 10 to 15% above a comparable used house or resale house. So 5.5 to 6.5 months. I typically, just say average it out at 6. So right now, if we look at this number here at 6.92 months, I'm considered a buyer's market. That means it's going to put downward price pressure on my homes. So as a general rule of thumb, you want to avoid markets or change your product or price point if your inventories are over 8.5 months. One exception to that rule is if you have a high absorption or high inventory or a traditional used sales and a very low inventory of new homes. A lot of times you can out-design a used house competition, meaning that if all the used houses in your price category, let's say have a 2-car garage and you build something with a 3-car garage, that is going to differentiate yourself and people will be drawn to buy your home, besides the normal design trends and more lifestyle changes that you can make to your floor plans. So that's the one exception to the rule. But if there's lots of new construction that you're competing with, this is where the red light should be flashing for something like this. When we look at this, again, we want to avoid those markets, again, where it gets to 8.5 months. But right now at 6.2 months, if I'm talking to my client, I'm going to say, look, we got to pump the brakes on this. This is something we really need to take a closer look at. You use this sort of formula to try to find what we call a hole in the market. So where is that inventory under 5.5 months? And can you build a product and hit that price point in that location in order to satisfy that demand in the market? Because right now that demand is being underserved. So last thing I'll mention about this, Diana, is that historically when the recession hits and the market slows down, a lot of builders, their first inkling is that I need to reduce price, get my prices to here. But the problem is that a lot of people do that same thing and everyone goes down to a certain price point and it floods the market. So now that market is actually worse. So sometimes you need to go up a price point because there's less inventory there and there's still a constant demand. You still may have to do some improvements to your home in order to get that home sold.